Okay, ka. Good afternoon. Hello again. Yes.
Sorry, Professor. Professor, sorry for interrupt you. I'm assigned by Dr. Anchalee to inform, introduce you to other participants.
Okay, thank you, ka. You may go ahead.
Yes, okay, we have to wait for a while, a minute, a second for other participants to join us in this afternoon section.
Ajahn Navamin called and said, "Oh, have someone introduce you?" I said, "Oh, I don't need it." So
but he said that I had to. Okay, let's start.
Right.
Now we have like a ELT webinar on the topic of qualitative research in ELT. Now we have our guest speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Anchalee Wannaruk from School of Foreign Language, Suranaree University Technology. And I'm going to give you some her background. Our guest speaker, she has got a bachelor's degree in English and German, first class honor from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, and Master of Linguistics in English for Science and Technology from Mahidol University, Thailand, and for Ph.D. in Second Language Acquisition and Teacher Education from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, the United States of America. Now, may I invite our guest speaker to resume her lecture in the afternoon section.
Thank you very much, Ka. Thank you for the formal introduction. Right. It's like this is something about related to move structure too, right? Rhetorical structure, have to follow this. Yes, okay. So next one, anything you like to talk about the last one, or everything's clear, or we can talk a little bit about it later, Anyone like to suggest anything? Comments? Okay, yeah, maybe later, right? We still have a lot of things to study. Okay. Sorry. Mute. Yes, everyone can see my screen. Yeah. So back to slide 20, ethnographic research. Yeah, we talked about this already, but just a brief summary about what it's like. Yes. Who's the last person to read? I forgot. Okay, huh?
Yes,
second round.
Sumon on.
Sumon,
right?
the last one, right?
Yeah.
Sumon, the last one. So it's going to be Rosamon. Rosamon, second time, right? This time.
Certainly, Professor. Okay, ethnographic research involves studying human activity and trying to understand the unwritten cultural rules which participants work by, and can lead us to valuable insights into the everyday workings of language and education.
Okay. Ethnography, right? Maybe one more, and then I'll give you some example. Yeah. Tatiya ha.
Excuse me, Professor. Tatiya has a meeting right now.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot.
Sorry.
Wang Yili.
Yeah,
Can
Professor.
you read this one?
Aims for an amic perspective, a view of what is going on in terms of the participants' own understanding, and ethic perspective, possibly objective but sometimes misguided view of an outsider, and chance to begin with data and uses initial data to generate tentative hypotheses, which are then confirmed or adopted in the light of further data.
Right. Okay. I think these two aspects were mentioned when Ph.D. and Anchalee presented, right? The emic perspective and the ethic perspective, right? Emic, yeah, this is from the worldviews of the participant themselves, right? And the ethic, yeah, more objective, because we are like outsider. We can treat ourselves, researchers, as outsiders, right? But those two perspectives will be taken into consideration when we study ethnography, right? And see, hypotheses come later, right? You get the data first, right? And then you generate hypotheses later. This is unlike the quantitative research that they start with theory, hypothesis, and then collect data. Okay, one more. Right, Ph.D. ค่ะ โอเคไหมครับ Ph.D. Ph.D. ยังปิดกล้องอยู่ โอเค อยู่นะคะ
The first one is takes nothing for granted. Ethnographic studies can use a great variety of data. And for the interview, need to maintain the flexibility, awareness of the researchers and others' social biases and purposes in analyzing interview data, and need to triangulate between different types of data from different individuals or from different situations.
Yeah, so triangulation is still important no matter like if you employ quantitative or qualitative approach, right? You cannot rely on only one source of research tool, right? You need to triangulate it with something else. If you observe, you can also interview them. If you analyze text document, you can also observe them, right? Or interview them. Going back to the research about rhetorical move structure, you know, when you analyze introduction section of research articles, you analyze them yourself, right? You analyze the text comparing Thai journals and international journals. But then you can also interview the writer, okay? You can interview the authors, why they write it that way, you know, because sometimes there are differences between science journal, science article, right? Versus social science articles, right? So, you know, you can ask them for some differences. For example, this move might be shown. You can see this move in science journal, science article, but you don't see this move in social science, you know, papers. So you can also ask, you know, the researcher themselves why. Okay, that would make your findings more comprehensive. So that's triangulation. Okay. Right, next one. When do we use ethnography? Going back to Wannaruk.
Yes, Professor. Ethnography employed when not enough is known about the context or situation to establish narrowly defined questions or develop formal hypotheses. For example, why do a particular group of heritage language learners do poorly when learning informally instructed foreign language classroom settings?
Okay, if you have a minority group of students in your class, right? You might want to study them, right? If they perform poorly in the language class, and this could start with the ethnography one. You see how they perform, how they study, what language they use after class, you know, something like that. Okay, Okay, one example, this is another one. Okay, it's about English as a lingua franca. This could be a pragmatic study adopting conversation analysis. Okay, Sirika, could you read, please?
Okay, yes, sir. For research questions, right? English as a lingua franca communication in Indonesia tourism context. A study of pragmatic strategies. 1. What pragmatic strategy do the locals and foreign tourists in Indonesia tourism context employ to negotiate meaning and understanding? Number 2, what's the perception of ELF speakers towards ELF in tourism context?
Right. In tourism context, right? Local and foreign tourists here refer to like, okay, to this research is done in Bali, okay, Indonesia. There are a lot of tourists there, and the local people would be like the seller, the tour guides, you know, the taxi drivers, something like that. So they use pragmatic strategies to negotiate, means like sometimes misunderstanding can occur, right? Or sometimes they do not use perfect English, but they try to communicate with each other. And the situation is English as a lingua franca. When we use the term ELF, that means the user, okay? English is the medium of communication in that situation, all right? Okay, that's this one. The researcher is there, you know, in Bali, and she carried the tape recorder around. You know, she would ask for permission first from the subjects, and then she will, for example, she put the tape recorder at the probably one shop, you know, along the street in Bali, and then she would ask the seller for permission, you know, and if the tourist or the sellers, the tourists say no, you know, she will ask for consent. But if they say no, she will delete the recording. Okay, that's the methodology could be something similar to ethnography, but she's not there to like for days until her study is different from the 100% ethnography, like the situation that I told you about gorilla in Africa, right? It's not like that. Yeah, it's similar, but it's not the same. Now we look at case studies. Okay, Patanan ka.
Case studies. So case study aim to provide holistic descriptions of language learning or use within a specific population and setting. Ethnographics focus on cultural patterns within groups. CS tend to provide detailed descriptions of specific learners or sometimes classes within their learning setting.
Mm-hmm. Here, I like you to see the differences between case studies and ethnographies. Okay, ethnography seems to be like for certain group, but we focus on cultural patterns, right? Like if we study Hmong student, the minority group, the Hill tribe people, right, studying English, or a particular group of students who know who study English as a third language, you know. Yes, for most of us here, Thai is our first, right, and English is our second. But for some subjects, you know, Thai is not their first one. Maybe Khmer or something, you know, is their first one, right? And Thai, standard Thai is their second one. And then English is their third one, right? Something like that. So if it's cultural patterns of that group, you know, it could be, and you don't want to interfere them, You know, if it's about cultural pattern, that would be ethnographic. Case study can be like for individual or like a group. Okay, it doesn't have to be like one student, two students. You know, certain classes in the same setting. Okay, that would be case study. For example, this one. Next, please, Patanan, and then Suwon.
Yes, Professor. Case studies explore the behaviors and attitudes of individuals, groups, for example, a whole class, organizations, example, a language program or events, example, a tutorial or seminar. And ethnography explores the cultural visits for those group behaviors and values. Case studies, longitudinal observations of the phenomena under investigation made at periodic intervals for an extended period of time.
Yeah, case study can be long, right? Can be a longitudinal study. Yeah, for example, I think for this one, like if you marry, you know, you married to what is it? A native speaker, or it doesn't have to be a native speaker. It could be a Chinese guy or, you know, a Korean guy, right? And then your kids would become bilingual, right? They would become bilingual. You can study your kid, your bilingual kid. This would be a longitudinal study and a case study, right? You study how your child developed two languages, okay? In China, Yili, please tell me, do you know, like a few years ago, I have heard some comment from Chinese grandma, you know, they said that they don't want their kids to speak two languages at the same time because they're afraid that their language will be mixed up and it might affect their thinking, something like that. So they prefer only one language at a time, although the parents can speak English well, you know, because one of my students, both students, they can speak English fluently. So they can speak English to the Chinese, right, to their boy. But the grandma said, no, you know, you will confuse the student. The belief's still true.
Yeah, because Chinese and English, the grammars just there are a number of great difference between Chinese grammar and English grammar, and maybe the typical example just about the order of the word order in a sentence.
So you mean that belief still continue in certain group of people?
Yeah, maybe in some big cities, and maybe the people's oral spoken is maybe good.
Because example, you have good English. Would you speak English to your baby?
No.
No, why not? Right. This
maybe
is different. Huh?
Yeah, maybe we just think that the excuse about it, just we don't have the atmosphere or environment to speak English. Yeah. And maybe for me, my city is not a large city. It is maybe agriculture city, and so the citizens maybe don't have don't receive the high education. And it is difficult for us to communicate with them in English. And only the middle school, the high school, and the college students, and we can communicate in English. And it just maybe limited the easy English. Yeah, because my students English are not very good. Yeah.
But your English is good. You don't want your kids to become bilingual, like competent in both languages, both Chinese and English.
Yeah.
Your kids, your children, You know, because, okay, I'm asking the others. I'm not sure. Rosamond, have you got any? Yes?
Pardon, Professor?
Have you got any children yet? No? Yes?
No.
No? If you have a kid, any of you, if you have a kid, you speak English to them? Or you just speak Thai? Because most of you are, you know, all of you are fluent, right, in English. Would you speak both Thai and English to your child?
If I have children, yes, I will.
You will, yeah, the father can speak Thai, right? If you cannot speak English well, right? But you can speak English, you know, but, and I think as an English teacher, I like to encourage you to do that. Your kids will become bilingual, you know, and no mix up between two languages. Several of my colleagues here, they speak English to their children, you know, since like, yeah, when they play with them, since they were born, you know, since the kids were born, they start saying, instead of playing with the kid in Thai, speak Thai, but they, hello, can you see this? Oh, is it delicious? Whatever, no problem at all. Okay, really. So you should take the advantage of being fluent in English and use English with your children since they will, you know, they are born. And your husband, you know, can speak just Chinese to them. Kids are very smart in terms of language. They will, you know, like I told you, the African children in Africa, they can speak more than 5 languages, you know, because they use one language with father, another language with mother, another language with the in-laws, another language with the grandparents, you know, and they swap language for them. It's like a repertoire, you know, so they don't, everything automatic. They don't think that, oh, now I'm speaking English, now I'm speaking Thai, you know, not like that. I think those who can speak Northeastern Isan language, right, you know, it's automatic for you that you switch, right, between Isan and Thai, right? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so if you are interested and if you're just going to have a baby soon, you know, you can think about this. You know, this is nothing new. It could be longitudinal study and it could be case study. People have studied this long time ago, you know, and you can do it. You know, it could be different contexts, okay? But when you collect data, you have to make it systematic, make it scientific. Like you have to collect, this would be longitudinal. You would make sure, okay, you study the language. Every week, you collect data, maybe half an hour every day at this particular time, so that your data would be random, okay? Not like you choose, oh, now I'm free, I'm going to collect data. Now, you know, I'm playing, something like that, you know? So you have to make it scientific, to make it, you know, like systematic, okay? So your data would be representative, okay? Not like you can say, oh, I collect data, you know, for, I don't know, 2 hours, half an hour every day when the kids are 1 month old, 2 months old, 3 months old, something like that. Okay, we look at this one. Next one. Okay, hold on. This is a longitudinal study, but with an adult. Okay, where's what happened? Who's the next one? พัฒนันเหรอคะเมื่อกี้เนี่ยใครเมื่อกี้นี้ The last one ยี่หลี่ I forgot คนสุดท้ายเมื่อกี้ใคร Who is the last one who just read?
ยี่หลี
ยี่หลี Okay ต่อไปค่ะ What happened to อาจารย์ปิยชัด She said that she's got problem with the. Now you're back. Not
Yeah,
yet.
I'm listening, Ajahn.
Oh,
But
you're
just that
listening.
they have
Okay, you cannot read the script, read the PowerPoint, right?
I-
One, ได้ไหมคะ
and I can have just the video that I cannot turn on the camera, so you cannot see me.
Oh,
That's,
you cannot see my screen either?
I can have.
Okay, so could you read it, please?
Okay, ha. Development of L2CC,
L2, communicative competence.
cognitive competence from Schmidt, 1983, with a 33-year-old native speaker of Japanese who had little formal instruction in English. Schmidt studies with language development over a 3-year period when he was residing in Japan but visited Hawaii regularly on business.
Okay, so this is an example. All right. Okay, Wes, he hasn't learned English properly, right? It just very little formal instruction in English. But he traveled to America, to Hawaii regularly. So next, please, what happened? The data, okay, this is about data collection, right? On Wantanaka.
Yes, Professor. Development of L2CC, Schmidt 1983, conversations between Wes and friends, and monologues that he asked Wes to produce and record while at home in Japan. The study focused on a small number of grammatical features, including plural s, third-person singular s, and regular past tense.
Okay, this is how Schmidt collected data, right? You know, you have to, he asked Wes to collect data like this at home, right? And then what's the finding, right? Yeah. On Sirika.
Okay, yes, Prof. Wes attend relatively high levels of pragmatic ability and articulation, for example, in the use of formulas such as so and what news and what do you know. He had very limited improvement in terms of linguistic accuracy for the grammatical forms over the 3 years of the study, thus providing evidence for the severity of linguistics and pragmatics competence.
Yeah, so there are two kinds, right? For communicative competence, at least two kinds, linguistic and pragmatic competence. Linguistic competence would be like the way that you can use English, right? English knowledge to communicate, but pragmatic competence would be would regard appropriateness, right? So you need two kinds to speak, to communicate perfectly. But Wes, he knows something like, he knows some formally, right? Like the way native speaker use, what you know, right? Instead of say, what do you know? Maybe this is what we use, right? Because we study these from formal instruction, right? What do you know? Yeah, but Wes could say, what do you know? What's new? What's up? Yeah, something like that, right? But in terms of grammar, you know, like correctness, right? Grammatical correctness, he cannot improve it. Yeah, he cannot. He still make mistake in terms of, yeah, he go every day, you know, probably something like that, right? He cannot use, this is the part that it was the study focused, plural s, third person singular s, regular past tense, right? So Wes still makes some mistake. That means his pragmatic competence developed, but the linguistic competence maybe still limited, right? Is still limited. Another one, this is another case study. This is done by Ellis, okay? Okay, what happened? What happened คะ back to พัฒนันใช่ไหม this one
โอเคค่ะ
case study Alice case study
Alice Case Study 1984. The program aims for new arrival, preparing them for a transfer to high schools. Two child learners in an altered context. J is 10 years old, Portuguese, and R is 11 years old from Pakistan. To investigate the learning patterns of the two children in an instruct context as opposed to the nationalistic context in which Shamis had studied with language development.
Right. So this one, the one West is adult, right? But this one, they are children, right? So J and R, right? J from Portugal and R from Pakistan. What happened here? Okay. Sorry. That one doesn't have, okay. This one, we have no findings, okay? But I just want to give you an example of another case study, right? I didn't give you the findings. And this one different from West, right? Because West is naturalistic context. Okay, but this one is in class. For something like this, it could be, you know, like 20 years ago, there are a lot of refugees, right? They went to America, right? Cambodian, Vietnamese, you know, before they went to America, they have to study. They took some courses, some English courses to prepare them, right? So this could be a case study too, right? We see how they develop their language. All right, similar thing. Okay, I will skip this one, case study by Ota. Yeah, this is about two immediate learners of Japanese, right? Okay. First grade. And this one, they look at what? Sumon.
Yes, Professor. Cases are not limited to individuals, but can also be classes or schools. We let 1995 observed an entire classroom of first grade years old students for a year in her exploration of the development of years old students' identities and communicative competence. It focuses on 4 students, audio recorded and observations.
And what's the research question? Oh, this one different, before and after. Teacher identity. Okay. This could be one. Right. This one, please. Rosamunka.
Yes, Professor. The development of teacher identity, emotions, and practice before and after graduation from an HUSOC program. How do the participants' teacher identity and emotions interact with her classroom practice before and after graduation from an HUSOC?
Right. The study about identity is popular now, you know. So because they think that identity is very important. When like you become someone, right? Or you doing something, identity, you know, could be a major factor to you. Something you look at yourself, something people see you, right? And this is about 3 factors: teacher identity, emotion, and practice. Yeah, there are three variables. They compare like before you graduate and after you graduate from a program. Okay. We will come back to this later. I'd like to show you one research about identity. 60. Okay, this one. This is a study by Dr.Anchalee from Buriram University, right? About becoming English teachers in Thailand. Student-teacher identity development during teaching practicum. I believe Anchalee and Ph.D, you teaching English major teacher student,
Yes.
right? And they have to take the practicum too, right?
Yes.
How long? For how long? A
For
year.
1 year, the last year. Each semester, we have a chance to go.
Right now is a year, right? I think when I was a student, it's only a term. But now the program, the bachelor degree is 5 years, right? 5 years is a 5-year program.
Yes.
For English major student teacher, right? Yeah.
We changed now to 4-year program, and last year.
It's back to 4 years now.
That's right.
I see. Okay. So the identity, how is it developed? And okay, Ka. Read this one, please. Yi Li, right?
Yeah. While prior research has pointed out evidence of students, teachers' challenging experiences in learning to teach during the teaching practicum, limited research has been explored how they overcome those challenging experiences.
Right. When you choose a research, right, a research study to conduct, you have to think about the gap, right? There must be a research gap. And this is, okay, the gap, experience, right? When young, we call them student teacher, right? Student teacher, they have a lot of things to cope with, right? A lot of challenges during their teaching practicum. Yeah, so this is the gap, because little research has been done, right? How these students can overcome the challenges, right? This is the gap. And this is the significance, this part is the significance of the study. What is it, Ka? Yi Li, เมื่อกี้ครูเรียกใคร
ปิยะฉัตร
เมื่อกี้ได้ปิยะฉัตร Okay, so back to วันชนะใช่ไหมคะ Okay, right.
เมื่อกี้อีลี่ค่ะ
Okay, sorry ค่ะอาจารย์ปิยะฉัตรเริ่ม
So
for this one.
teacher educators will be able to use the knowledge to design the teaching practicum that is supportive to teacher identity development, as well as to better support students, teachers during their teaching practicum experiences.
This is the part about significance of the study, right? Something related to implications later. Why the result that you gain, right, will be used to develop, right, design the practicum to be more useful. Yeah. Research question, Ka, Wanchana.
Yes, Professor. Research questions. 1. How was the development of teacher identity shaped by the teaching practicum? 2. How do student teachers overcome the challenges of the teaching practicum?
Okay, everything's clear, right? So when this is qualitative research too. So you have to describe the context, the setting, okay, and the participants. How's the paper describe this? Yes, Anchalee.
Okay, context and participants at the pre-service teacher education program offered by a comprehensive university in Thailand, 4 years of class plus 1 year of a teaching practicum. The researchers supervised 10 students, teachers, while they were placed full-time in school for their 1 year teaching practicum.
Right. So this is still a 5-year program, right? 4+1. Huh? So usually when you mention the setting, the context, you wouldn't be specific about the university name. Okay, don't put the university name there. That okay, this is done at Rajabhat, Buriram. No, nothing like that. You have to say something like, if, for example, if you're talking about Khon Kaen, right? Khon Kaen could be a comprehensive university. I think Khon Kaen has a lot of degree, right? For example, Chulalongkorn definitely is a comprehensive one because there are many, right? The faculty cover almost everything. This is a comprehensive one. If we talk about SUT, Suranaree, it would be like a science and technology, oriented university. Okay, give just the description. Okay, so the researcher, he's got like 10 students. Okay, what happened? He sent email. Okay, this is the methodology. He sent email to all the 10 students and 3 responded. This is like convenient sampling too, right? These 3 are willing to participate in this study. And who are they? Right. Next, please. Pathananka. Not me, not me. I'm not familiar with the name either. It's a pseudonym. Yeah.
Okay, Nanmi and Niti. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Niti, right. Pseudonyms, right. Not real one, right? Not real names.
Were particularly chosen because their practicum contexts were different. Nami was placed in the secondary school level where she had more autonomy. Niti was placed in the elementary school level where he had less independence.
That's true, right? In secondary school, maybe you have more, you can do more, right? More autonomy. But at the elementary level, maybe you have to depend more on the system, right? On the curriculum design. Yeah, right. What happened next? Yes, Sumon.
Yes, Professor. Limitations by examining only 2 student teachers. It was not my intention to claim generalization to other contexts. Rather, the richly descriptive stories of the 2 participants may provide an insight into the complexity of teacher identity development.
Yeah. You have to accept, if you're going to conduct this kind of study, you have to accept that a qualitative study, like in this case, which is a case study, only 2 students, right? You cannot generalize the findings, but you can be, when you write a paper about this, you can say that you are aware of this problem, but you hope that the result you gain here will be able to explain more about, like in other contexts, we could be transferred to other similar contexts. Okay, so when the readers who read your paper will say that, oh yeah, in my context, I've got someone similar to not me or Niti, right? So yeah, that could apply to my situation too, right? So that's what you should say in this kind of paper. Look at methodology. Yes, methodology, Rosamond.
Yes, Professor. Methodology. Since previous studies have pointed out that teacher identity is complicated, Su 2007, Wakis et al. 2005, I wanted to employ a research methodology that was able to capture this complexity. As a result, a narrative case study approach was used?
This is a methodology, a narrative, right? Narrative case study approach. And you will see later what it's like when the researcher reported the findings. Okay, narrative one. Okay, what it's like? Yi Li.
Methodology, the approach investigate stories of student teachers that they have been developed and told as legitimate sources of knowledge. The case study approach was integrated to create a boundary of interest, stick 1995, and to focus on English major student teachers only.
Right. Okay. Yes, that's the methodology. Okay. The study, right, will tell a story. And I think, you know, if you like, you will enjoy reading this kind of article too, because it's like reading a novel. Okay, I'll show you later. This one, but again, you need to show that your data, you know, are reliable. Okay. For in qualitative, they call trustworthiness. Yes, Piyachat ka.ใช่ไหมคะ It's your turn. Yi Li and then Piyachat. Piyachat เปิดไมค์ยัง? Please unmute. Or you disappear again. Okay, ka. Probably Vanchana.
Yes, Professor. Data analysis and trustworthiness. Before analyzing the data, the quality of data was maximized. The interviews were transcribed professionally, and we checked for accuracy of the transcripts. The field notes were also expanded fully. The data were analyzed vertically within case and horizontally cross case.
This one, okay, if you read the paper, the researcher followed the subjects. That's why he could take few notes. Okay, it's like shadowing the subject. He followed the subjects at different places, you know, like when the student teacher teach, right? Okay, they observe them, they follow them, they can take few notes. Okay, so that's why the data come from both the interview and also from the few notes. Next one. This is about data analysis. All right. Next one. Anchalee.
Yes, sir. For the vertical analysis, the entire set of the data within the individual students, teachers was analyzed using the coding method consisting of 3 analysis stages. 1, open coding, 2, Excel coding, and the last one is selective coding.
Okay, right. We will have a look at what it means by this, okay? Share the screen. Okay, you can see it now, right? This is from the script. You imagine that he's got the interview transcript, right? He by not me and Ite, yeah. So he would look at the scripts, right? The transcripts, and then he will code everything on the left corner, okay? On the left column, yeah. In the left column, you will see all the codes. Okay, he coded this as society value teachers. When he says something like this, or when not me said it, this is a sense of mission. This is about job stability, job opportunity. This is about excitement, ready to teach, pleasant joy, right? So later, the researcher will group these codes into categories. When it's about society value teachers, a sense of mission, job stability, job opportunity, some inspiring teachers, or not me, she grows up in the family of teachers, right? So the researcher group this into, okay, this is about, these quotes are about multiple reasons to choose to study teacher, right? To study to become a teacher. And the theme, teacher identity, is developed based on prior biographies. Okay, so this is how they quote, okay, the research quote things. For this one, look at the third one, excitement. Not me or Niti seem to show a lot of excitement, right? Or seem to show that, oh, I'm ready to teach. It's my pleasure to teach. There are a lot of joy, right? There's a lot of joy. So these are grouped as positive emotional responses, because this is about emotion, right? Emotion to the teaching practicum. So emotion shapes teacher identity too. And this one, look at this one, the last, this theme, practice shape teacher identity too. That seems to be practice. After you attend, the teaching practicum, you have a lot of practice. So maybe when the student call you teacher, she would feel, the subject would feel, oh, I'm a teacher now. Everybody here has been through the teaching practicum before? Anyone? Anyone here has, no? Anyone? PS คนเดียวเหรอคะ Teaching practicum, only you?
When I study in not in bachelor degree. When I study in the master degree, I need to take.
Oh, okay. So I'm the only one here who used to have a teaching practicum, right? In my bachelor's degree, actually, you will see that because you're young, right? You are probably like in bachelor degree, you're not that much older than your student, right? If you're teaching secondary level, they will call you P. This is similar to not me and Niti. Yeah, the student will call you P instead of crew. Yeah, but once they start calling you like crew, yeah, something like that. They don't call you Ajan, okay? They will call you crew in Matayom. Yeah, so you would feel, oh, I'm a crew now. I'm a teacher now. So that probably the identity. Yeah, and maybe because for someone who grew up, that your parents are teachers, right? So maybe you have, absorb something like this, the emotion, the feelings like this, right? So this is about teacher identity. This is the finding, okay? You know what it's like for the data analysis. If you're going to conduct the study, I think you will learn more, okay? And this is the finding. Look at this one. When you present it, you present according to the story. Not me, who is not me. Yeah, this is like a story. And you will read this one. Who's the last one again? I forgot.
The last one, Anchalee ค่ะ
Okay, Patanan, can you read this? The story of not me. Here, she narrated this one. Can you see?
Okay. Teaching is
okay.
Teaching is a dream job for me because it is a stable profession and the retirement benefits are fully provided. There are also many vacancies in my hometown because we have dangerous situations in our regions, and a few people courageously decide to be a teacher there. I really want to help my hometown, so becoming a teacher has always been my dreams.
Okay, this is like a whole story. That's why I said you might enjoy reading something like this, right? Yeah, she would tell a story. Yeah, you said she narrated, right? And when you present it, this is what the teacher, what the researcher introduced first, who is not me, right? And then you swap between the researcher say again, yeah, not me, brought this motivation, right? When asked what kind of teacher she wanted to be, she reported that she could see herself as a kind-hearted teacher who has positive relationship with students. This teacher identity was partly derived from her impression of her teacher in the secondary school, whom she described as her idols, okay? And then, right, for this one, this is about emotional thing. Yes. Sumon, can you read this one?
Yes, Professor. I was so excited, worried, and frustrated about the teaching practicum. Do I have enough English knowledge to teach the students? Will they do what I told them? Will they respect me? Will I get along with them?
Okay, right. This is from the script. Okay, I think you've got some ideas, right? This is about narrative, you know, narrative inquiry could be one approach that you can use. And then, you know, you would go to, this is about Niti. Yeah, Niti. Okay, the story of Niti could be different from not me. Okay. Yeah, he mentioned something about his mother. Yeah, the reason for his mother expectation, his mother wanted him to be a teacher just like her, right? Yeah, something like that. Okay, it's like meeting halfway with my mother. Okay, so you can also discuss, you know, after you get the finding, you discuss based on, you know, the findings, right? You discuss different points, the major points, okay? Student-teacher identity development during the teaching practicum, right? Emotional responses seems to be like 2 points that yeah, about practice, shape, identity, right? According to the themes, remember the themes, right? I can send you the paper later if you like for this one. Okay, and then conclusion, right? So that's an example of this one. Okay. Now we come back to, right. It's 2 o'clock. We can have one presentation here. Okay. One presentation here. Which one?
Yes, Professor. Excuse me.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Right,
also
right.
Professor.
Okay.
The role
Yeah.
of coach.
Okay.
Let me
Yes.
share the screen. All right, here we are. Everyone can see the slide clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Maybe I'm gonna show in this form. This is the role of English language in the field of agriculture and needs analysis by Moore, Contreras, and Moore. This article starts from the abstract, can be divided in many topics. Start from relational. Need analysis, or NA, is a crucial first step in language program design, especially in Chile. Vocational education and training, for short, we just call VET programs in agriculture, use English language programs which are not designed based on the target language needs of this specialized group of students. The objects of this article to explore the English language requirements of agricultural technicians in Chile and examine how these needs are perceived by actors involved in agricultural industries and actors involved in educational methods. Using a qualitative approach, data were elicited from document analysis and interviews with 5 technicians at one company and 5 teachers at vet school. The findings found that English language was necessary for technicians to try to carry out specific tasks. Our teachers agreed that their students should be taught not only general English, but also English that is relevant to students' interests and needs. However, the non-existence of vocational language programs make it difficult for English teachers to teach the contents pertinent to their students' specialization. This study contributes to an understanding of the relevance of English language for learners in a specialized context. Let's move to the introduction of the article. They mentioned in the world of work, English has increased in the role as language for communication. So the demand for language courses address occupational and all workplace needs. Initially, in agriculture is an important occupational sector, especially in last 2 decades from trade agreements. The agreements are not only international integration, but also the need for developing English language skill on the agricultural professionals. Chile is an agricultural country with over 109,000 companies work toward to development of the industry. And it can say that there are more than 700,000 permanent jobs in this country. And the workers are agricultural technicians who play a key role in increasing agricultural production in a highly international market. In terms of education, this country offers vet program in agriculture at the secondary and tertiary levels. In the part of secondary school, vet program provides students with specialized training in the field, prepare them for the world of work, and prepare for post-secondary studies. And the post-secondary study provides students with a high-level technical and specialized knowledge and skills and enhanced leadership skill. Secondary school graduates can work as mid-level technicians if they got a vet certificate. And post-secondary graduates can work as high-level technicians if they obtain a post-secondary vet professional or technical degree. The vet agricultural program, in that place, English language plays at a secondary role or a foreign language that student can learn for 2 hours a week. At this national level, those English teaching in the first level are standardized but not designed to address the specialized agricultural context. This approach to language teaching might be more specific and that meet the students' target language needs. Furthermore, EFL teachers working in these schools are usually not provided with training on the content and topics that are more relevant to the specialized group of students whose language skills are required by the labor sector. Therefore, it's important that high-quality vocational program embedded core academic skills into occupationally focused curriculum. English language is necessary for the work of technicians and needs are perceived by different actors involved both industry and education. And this also drives curriculum decision-making. Since existing research in the agricultural field is limited, that is an exploratory study based on qualitative methodological approach in which the overall purpose is to discover new ideas and insight in this area where little is known. What and how for the development of the course? This is the meaning that flow for one deal. Forward deal define the meaning of NA or need analysis, and many scholars are still give or support this idea in many statements like language. It's useful for language for specific purposes, courses. Lead to courses designed to ensure that students will learn precisely what they need. This from Salafini. Need analysis research again to be continued by many scholars. Over here, there summarize that English for specific purpose. It's still needed to use NA in research to find out the way to learn L2. And some, like Long in 2005 said that some of the traditional units of analysis have been lexical items or grammatical structure, which are usually situated within structural and linguistically based syllabus. Task-based approach to NA may be more appropriate for identifying the communicative tasks requiring English in the learning field of specialization. The finding of task-based NA are to be used as input to inform the design of an analytical syllabus. In this regard, the task-based language teaching or TBLT approach, according to Long, starts with task-based needs analysis to identify the learner's needs. 2.2, the methodology of task-based needs analysis, as many scholars mentioned over here, stated or have suggested the use of different sources of information and methods to identify what the target needs of the learners are. In task-based needs analysis methodology, become crucial in gathering information about the target task that learner will be required to accomplish in the L2, especially at work. According to the task-based NA model by Long, should be there 3 elements. First, sources should be both insider, which consists of domain experts like individual and expertise in area like professionals and employers and in service or graduates, and outside are non-experts in specialized work area, but individual with knowledge of L2, like a language teacher, applied language, pre-experienced learners. Secondly, the methods used to collect the data should be both qualitative, like open or inductive interviews observation, for example, quantitative, like closed, deductive, like questionnaire and surveys. Lastly, triangulation is usually used to increase the credibility of research findings. Brown mentioned that there are 9 different types of triangulation, like stakeholder, method, location, time, perspective, investigator, theory, interdisciplinary, participation, triangulation. This is still the information that many scholars mentioned about NA, especially the word insider and outsider. Okay, let me skip to this 2.2, identifying the English language needs of professionals and specialized learners using different sources and methods in NA. There's also many studies that focus on the professional in in a different sector like flight attendants, hotel housekeepers, senior executives, industrial pharmacists, EFL teachers, and nursing students. These studies have used a task-based approach to NA, providing rich information on the future and target needs of specialized group of learners, including hotel maids, journalists, or engineers from these three studies that use NA base. The finding of these studies provide implication for language teacher or course designs and syllabus developer, either on language needs or personal in the workplace, or the English education of specialized learner at the tertiary level. But little research conducted the L2 needs of vet learners at the secondary school level, including the field of agriculture. Thus, the study attempts to broaden the literature by exploring the language needs in the agricultural sector from the perspectives of industry and school. This leads to the questions of the research. One, what are the English language needs of agricultural technicians? What are the technician and school professionals' perception of English language needs of agricultural technicians? As number 2 of the question. And then look at the study consists of methodology and procedure and this subtopic. Let's start from the methodology and procedure. This can be called a qualitative approach because used to investigate the actual English language needs, especially for agricultural technicians, and how such needs are perceived by actors in this field, both workplace and educational institute. In 2003, mentioned that qualitative research approach conduct as a case study in one agricultural company and in that school in central of Chile. 3.1.1, the company and the school sites. The participant in this study consists of company and school. From the company, there are multinational agricultural across Chile. The study was conducted in one of the plants located in an agricultural-oriented area with 4 agricultural technicians, plus 1 plant chief of operations, while the school aspect was a secondary public school that located in the same geographical region as the company. That is provide vet program in agriculture with vet certificate. Look at the participants that I just mentioned. From the first group, there are 5 workers, 4 agricultural technicians, and 1 chief of operations. And the further detail are shown in the table like this, with different of further information like work experience at agriculture and the company, including their qualifications. While the second one is 5 teachers from the school, 1 principal, 1 teacher in charge of agricultural production, 1 teacher in charge of the students' practicum, and 2 English as a foreign language teachers. So the further information also we show right here. Let's move to the instruments. This study employs semi in structure interview to be the instrument, and the question varies somewhat according to the role of each participant, like English needs or their view regarding the English language teaching in school that they got in vet programs. The perception in the study following long, that is individual participant view and understand of the use of English in the workplace. From the industry participants, The information was actual use of English in the workplace and their perception of the role of English that plays for them as technicians. And in school, the perception of target English language needs of agriculture students and teaching of English at schools, delivering that program in agriculture. In that, the instrument, they used the interview and they were audio recorded by the previous recommendations show that the different sources, method, and triangulation of data includes the validity of findings. The data analysis.
Sorry to
for
interrupt, Clementina.
Yes,
About
Professor.
5 minutes or something, okay?
Pardon, Professor?
About 5 minutes or something.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
okay, Professor. Thank you. I'm gonna move to Patanan. Okay, for me, okay, almost finished, Professor. And finally, the methodology will be summed up as they use mathematical analysis and data were coded and organized into categories and finally interpreted. That's the methodology used or employed in this study. Okay, let's move to Patanan to present her information. Maybe Patanan, I'm gonna help you to control the slide.
Okay, I will share the screen.
Or you just can use mine.
Okay,
All right, start from here, right?
yes. Okay, so let's move to the research findings. So there will be 3 parts of the research finding. So the first one is the interview, is the major theme. So the 6 major theme will emerge from the analysis. So the first major theme is the English language is necessary for communicating with the clients and visitors. And the second one is the English language. Okay, English language is necessary for reading manuals, labels, and informations. Thirdly, technical and general English are prominent to the workplace. Next one, general English is still the primary focus at vet school. Next one, English is considered a tool to improve career opportunities. And the last one is the English is not always necessary. So from the findings, the researcher also found the minor theme. So there are two minor themes. So the first one is students tend to overlook the relevance of the English. And the second one is student low English proficiency. Okay. And the findings from the document and levels findings. So the 10 photographs of different manuals were analyzed and classified into 2 categories. So the first one is instruction manuals, and the second one is the levels of equipments and one chemical. Yes, and here is some examples of the levels that researcher explained. Okay. And here, this one is the level findings. Okay, from the figure 1. Next slide, please. Okay, so these translations indicate that the level is addressed to Spanish speakers. So, however, the most important information regarding the setting instruction remains written in English only. Okay, and also this figure 2 is a instruction manual. So the researcher found that the level of an instructions manual shows a different context in which English knowledge was required. Okay, so next, let's move to the discussion. So the research findings show how relevant and necessary the English language is for agricultural technicians to perform their jobs effectively and as well as to obtain more employments opportunities. The findings also show the teacher's perception regarding the English language learning and teaching of the future agricultural professionals. So let's move to the conclusion. Okay, so in conclusion, the findings shed light on the text requiring English in the works of technicians and provide deeper insight into the current teaching practice of EFL teachers teaching to secondary students of agriculture. And by exploring teacher views, it was revealed what curricular choice teachers often makes when the teaching to the student to the agriculture program. These findings suggest implications for EFL teachers and curriculum developers involved in the vet sector. So first, it is suggested that the teaching of English in vet school should aim to address their student actual interests and needs by considering that she's discipline of study. So it is important that teaching material and professional development opportunities are given within a communicative, task-based, analytic approach. Second, in Chile, the need for a syllabus that address the language needs and interests of specialized learners is evidently necessary. So it is suggested that a vocational-oriented curriculum grounded on a thorough text-based need analysis is created for all vet school, providing vocational programs. It is all different disciplines. Okay, I think, okay, come to the last slide, please. Yes.
Here we are, the last one.
Okay, so this case study contributes to the understanding of the role of English in the field of agriculture and discipline under the research in terms of the tasks requiring English skill in the job of agriculture professional in an EFL context. The needs analysis approach used in this research also contributes to the knowledge of the text-based need analysis by exploring the use of different sources, methods, and triangulations. Thank you.
That's all for our presentation, Professor.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Patanan and Wantana. Right. At first, I thought you have like 90, okay, 90 slides, right? But okay, maybe from number 60 is not, right? Just a blank slide, right?
Yes, Professor.
Okay.
We stop right here.
Yeah.
62.
Okay. Yes, any question for Wantana and Patanan about needs analysis? Has anyone done needs analysis before? It's very popular in English for ESP research. Because yes, I think needs analysis research is very important. You guys can adopt it, you know, whenever you have to decide a new course, right? When you assign to teach a new thing, yeah, to any group of students, you can make use of needs analysis thing, right? Because you cannot teach everything, right? So usually needs analysis will tell you what are the priorities, yeah, of the target group. Sometimes you have to, again, if you're going to teach, someone assign you to teach English for, okay, for, what is it? For students, like flight attendants, right? Who you going to interview? Or, you know, who would be your target? Who would be your participants? How many groups? Flight attendants.
I think three.
Three? Who are
Yeah.
they?
Flight attendants, and second one is maybe like the customer, and the third one is the teacher.
Teachers. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Everyone's agree?
I agree, Professor, but I just think of their employers also.
Employers. Right. Employers and teachers, right? Maybe two separate groups, but they are similar, right? They could be as, you know, similar, that group. Okay, because they would be users, right? They would use the students in the future, right? Say they might know the context that your student will work. Customer, why would you collect data from customer? Do you agree?
Maybe like I want to know what's the customer perspective for the service that the flight attendants service them. Yes, and the language that they use. So is it more polite or is it like too fast for them? Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's true, like what you say. At first, I thought about, okay, in terms of language, maybe the customer might not know, right? But if you mention about something like to make the language smooth, you know, to make it, because language also comes with culture thing, right? Maybe customer will be the one who deal with the flight attendants, so they might know about what they want more, right, in terms of culture. Like if the flight attendants say this, we think that from our views, we think that they are okay, right? But actually from the student, from the customers, right, viewpoints, you know, it might not, yeah, this kind of behavior might not be nice. This kind of response might not be polite or might not be appropriate. Yeah, I used to, you know, some flight attendants, you like it when the flight attendants are friendly, are very friendly to you. You like it? Wantana like it because they are beautiful ladies, right? Wantana. You like it when they are familiar with you. I mean, I found, I think one or two from my experience that the flight attendant are so not, they're too friendly. They talk to me like I'm their friends. I'm not sure that I like it. This is not because I'm old, okay? But I think they talk to me like friends. Oh, by night, where you going? Where you want to visit? Like friends, you know. But I think it's too much because you need to keep distance, right? You need to keep distance from the customer, you know. So maybe this is the part that, you know, you can ask the customer. You can ask the customers, right? How comfortable, in what way that they do not feel comfortable. Okay. About documenting, from this research, they look at document, right? Yeah, this is something that this would benefit. What do you think about this? They analyze document. They analyze what? Can you tell us again, Vantana?
The interview.
they analyze the
document.
yes, the in at the manual and in the
Yeah.
level.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right. They analyze like labels, right? Manuals, instructions. See, this could be something interesting because in the past, like I told you, needs analysis are very popular, you know, in the past, because ESP come to Thailand like in the 80s. You know, at that time, my program, my master program, what I study in master degree, it's offered at Mahidol, because at that time, English is offered for science and technology, you know, so that's why they think, you know, scientists, you know, they study something different from general English. Okay, so the program about ESP is very popular. People start analyzing needs by nurses, you know, by veterinarian, you know, scientists, right? Veterinary scientists, by dentists, you know, so that we can teach English to a particular group. At that time, we interview probably like students, teachers, you know, like, and then employers in the future. But this one, I think it's interesting that they study documents too. Okay, they study documents. I give you more time. I didn't interrupt Wanchana when he presented, because I think finding here, you know, in our course right now, findings are not that important, but I like you to see the methodology, okay? Because that's the part that's important for you right now. You need to know how research, right, how qualitative, yeah, is developed, you know, in terms of methodology. Okay. Any other points from the presentation? Trustworthiness, coding. Now you are familiar with everything, right? Yeah, coding, yeah, analysis, theme analysis, right? Look at the content and then code it according to themes, right? Okay, and see the relationship between those themes, you know. Once you see the real data, maybe you understand better. Maybe once you might have to read, you know, analyze, read the script again and again. Okay, back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so this one. Okay, we did this one already. Boredom. Okay, you can see the screen, right? It's
Yes,
about
Professor.
boredom. Okay, let's start it over with Wanchana. I don't remember who's the last one. Wanchana, can you read this one?
Yes, Professor. Research questions in Q or qualitative research. Boredom is online classes in the Iranian EFL context, sources and solutions. 1. What are the
Antecedents
of boredom experienced in online classes by Iranian EFL learners? 2. What solutions do Iranian EFL learners propose for reducing the experience of boredom in online classes? 3. How do feelings of boredom fluctuate among Iranian English EFL learners within class periods?
Right, okay. So this is the research question, okay. Okay, boredom, yeah. You might, some of you mentioned something about online teaching, right? I think you can notice that the students are very bored, right? During the COVID, when they have to study online, right? So this could be one thing, you know, why the boredom, what are the factors, right? what happened, right, before they become bored in the online classes, right? And what kind of solution they suggest, right? And how do feelings of boredom fluctuate, right? Within different times, they are different at different times, right? Okay. Next, this is something about pragmatics too. Yes, on Siri.
Yes, sir. Research questions in qualitative research across cultural pragmatic study of the speech act of complaining by native Thai and Chinese speakers. Number one, what are the similarities and differences between the sematics formulate of complaining produced by native Thai and native Chinese speakers in their L1 or first language? Number two, what factor influence the sematics formulate the complaining produced by native Thai and native Chinese speakers in their L1 first language?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is something like in their L1, right? So Thai people speak Thai, Chinese people, speak Chinese, right? How the two languages are different. Before something like this is like we compare what people do in their L1. Another possible one is something like when we do it, like Thai people Thai people speak English, and Chinese people speak English. Okay, that is when Thai people speak English, and Chinese people speak English. If we speak to each other, is there any pragmatic transfer that Thai people transfer from their L1 from Thai, and Chinese speaker transfer from pragmatic from their L1 too, right, from Chinese? So when they speak English, they use L1, they use culture from their L1, no? For example, okay, this is maybe something about complaint. From your perspective in general, do you think Chinese or Thai are more direct? When we complain? Sorry, Yili. What do you think?
I think Chinese
are more direct.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. I think Chinese,
Yeah.
right? Yili.
Yili, you think you are direct?
Maybe I think the Thai
are more direct. All right. Yeah.
maybe we are so familiar with our own culture.
And we think that we're not direct, right? And okay, maybe something like between males and females. Who do you think are more direct?
Female.
Females are more direct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's agree?
I think
That's-
it depends the context,
I think you need research, right? Because we don't know. Yeah, that's why we don't know. They said that, for example, when we look at, what is it? There's some differences according to gender, right? In terms of politeness, males and females, who are more polite? Who are more polite?
I think male.
You think your hunch is completely opposite to what research, has been found. They say that women are more polite You know, males are more direct, they're more blunt. Women seems to be more indirect, you know, like in the situation, like males like to ask female, what do you want to eat? What do you want? Where should we go for dinner? And female would say,
anything.
right,
Place.
anything, any place, right? Something like that. But when the guy suggests something, she would say, no, out, right? No, not a good idea. And then they change, you know? So something like that, you know, it's about cross-cultural thing, yeah, cross-cultural thing. We might think that we are similar, right? Sometimes we think that Asian people are similar, but we are not, right? So we look at this one. Yeah, there are different things. Think about something. Do you know back channel? Back channel. Do you know what they are? Back and front, right? Back channel. Back channels are linguistic markers like, aha, oh, really? Wow, yeah, right. You use back channels when you want to what? If you talk to me, why do you use back channel?
Surprise. Surprise.
Why
To
do
respond.
to respond? To respond, to show that you're
Yeah.
listening to me, right?
Yes.
You're following me, right? Yeah. You between Japanese and Americans, who do you, if you conduct a cross-cultural study comparing back channel behaviors between Japanese and Americans, you think they are similar? Do you know back channels for Japanese? What do they say if they want to show that they're listening to you? Japanese people, if they say it in their L1, what are their back channels?
Hi, like this.
Hi, right. Hi, right? And they nod at the same time. Yeah, their back channels are verbal and non-verbal. Hi, right? So if they transfer these to, you know, when they speak L2, when they speak English, what would they say? They would say, yeah, right? Right? Something like that, right? So between Americans, but Americans, do they send back channels? From your hunch, you think that they will use less frequently or more frequently than Japanese? American. Yes. ปิยะฉัตรคะว่าไง
I think less.
Less, right?
Yeah.
Less. Yeah, from your experience talking to Americans, they would say, oh, really?
Sometimes they, yeah.
Wow. You know, they would put at the right place, right? But different from Japanese, they would say, hi, all the time, right? So this could create, you know, this could lead to misunderstanding. Because, okay, if you're telling me a story and I said, oh, you know, what would you feel? What would you react? You tell me a story about your holiday and I said, you know, what would be your reaction? Or what do you feel?
Feel like I talk too much, so they don't want to listen to me anymore. And
You mean, yeah, you can
I feel
try,
like-
okay? Yeah, Audrey,ว่าไง?
I feel like you don't pay any attention.
Really? I paid attention a lot. I say,
But,
you know?
but it seems you, it means don't concern.
Like you said too much.
We just hear, but we do not concern. Right.
We not focus on the content.
Yeah.
We just want to show that we're listening, but you know, like a husband, right? A situation between a husband and a wife, right? When a husband arrive home, he read a newspaper, right? And then he listened to the wife. The wife just tell him a story, and then he just put back channels at the right place. Oh, right. And then the wife say, "You're not listening to me." Right? Because he's not listening, right? So he just put at the right place. Yeah, that could be, right? That I think that, you know, when you put too much back channels, right? That could mean many things like, oh, you want me to stop because you understand my story already, you know, you don't have to listen anymore. Actually, I have a friend, when I tell him something, he would say, very, you know, frequently. And I feel like, okay, maybe I should stop. You know, you can try, okay, you can try. Experiment this with someone when someone tells you a story, okay, and see their reaction, right? So this is about pragmatic transfer that I said, okay, when people transfer from one language to another, okay, this is like from Thai to English, yeah, and this is from it could be also like vice versa, from English to Thai too, when we refuse, right? If you refuse, I'm your teacher, and I invite you to a party. Okay, I said, you know, there's a party at my house this weekend. Would you like to come? A lot of your friends will be there. Okay, what would you respond? You cannot go. What would you say? Yes. Any volunteer? Just say something that come to your mind right away. Don't think. Because
I would love to, but blah, blah, blah.
I would love to, but I think my dog is going to be sick this weekend. I have to take it to the hospital. Okay, I love to, right? Vanchana said. Anyone else?
Yes. I will say that at first, thank you so much for inviting me, right? I love to go there, but I have like urgent work, right? I have to go to see my mom, right? And now he's going to see a doctor, right? And if I have time, I will go to see you for sure.
Okay. Very long response, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else want to try? What about if I change from I'm your friend, not your teacher? What would you react?
If she is very close to me, I will say like, I can go. I have like another party. Sorry about that.
You can say no easily, right?
Yes.
And you say no to your friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. See, this is something different. You think you would do the same in your L1 and L2? If you say, if I'm your Thai teacher, right? And you say no to me in Thai or in your L1, you know, would it be different? What you say in L1 in Thai would be different from what you say in English? Kun. Sorry, Lee and Sumon. Okay. If we speak our first language, would you respond similarly? You can think about your situation too, that if you have to say no to your professor in Myanmar, right? Or in Chinese, right? Yeah. Yili, you have, you can think about what you would say in Chinese, but you translate for us, okay? What would you say? Because we won't understand Chinese, so you have to translate what you would say in Chinese and tell us.
我很想去，但是我周末有其他的事情。
Yeah. Okay, please translate into English.
I really want to go, but sorry, I just have something else to do.
Right. Would you say sorry when you speak English?
And maybe sometimes, but in Chinese, we just say 我很想去, just express I want to go, but in fact I can't.
Yeah. My point is, you know, when you say it in Thai, you would apologize. It's likely that you will apologize to the teacher. ขอโทษค่ะอาจารย์ you know, I'm so sorry อาจารย์ I cannot go, you know. But in English, I never heard any of you say sorry. Everyone said, I love to, you know, I love to, but, you know, thank you, right? Everyone said this, but you didn't apologize to the professor. Right? Yeah, that means you can separate between the two languages. In Thai, you know, we think that refusing in Thai, or I'm not sure about in Chinese, you know, something in Myanmar, you know, in L1, to professor is not nice to say no to a professor, right? So you would think that is serious. You have to apologize, you know. So that's the difference, okay? But yes, if you also say no, if you also apologize when you speak English, that means there's a pragmatic transfer, right? Okay, let's have a break maybe. Okay, and we come back around 3 o'clock, okay? What time is it now? Right, okay, around 3. And then we have the last presentation, okay, Mika?
Okay, Professor.
Yes, see you.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, ka. So you guys have to study like this every weekend? And you work at the same time, right? You work during the weekdays. Wow, very devoted students, huh? No life at all, right? No life. And tomorrow it would be another class. What is it? What is it for tomorrow? You can turn on the microphone. What is it for tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will have
Research writing. Advanced research writing.
Research writing.
Yeah, but we have 2 webinars. Morning and afternoon sections, Professor.
Oh, okay, right. And 2 subjects. How many subjects do you have to study?
In this semester, we have 3.
3. And when do you study the third one? Because you study a whole day, Saturday and Sunday.
The third subject will be next year, right?
Next 2 months.
Next 2 months.
Just 2 months for 2 subjects, Professor.
Oh, next 2 months. Oh, okay. So 2 subjects every 2 months, right? So 4 subjects in 4 months. Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. Okay. Back to before the presentation. Okay, let me finish this. This is something about the last presentation would be about EMI, right? Am I correct?
EMI done ค่ะอาจารย์
EMI done. So the last one would be about clue, right? About textbook.
yes
Oh, about textbook. Okay, about textbook. This is one study about EMI. Yes. Okay. We start from, okay. Okay, Piyashat, maybe you're driving, right? We can see just maybe you cannot read. Pen Yi, like, huh?
I can add that.
You can, huh? Okay.
Yes, I just
Yes. Okay. Can you read this one?
yes, research question in qualitative research from English as the medium to English as a medium. Perspectives of EMI students in Ghana. Number 1, what are students' attitude toward the use of translanguaging by instructors and students, and how do they differ between language group, Arabic L1, non-Arabic L1?
Okay. Can you read one more? This is also about the research question.
And number 2, how do Arabic-speaking students' attitudes toward the use of translanguaging differ between various academic courses that compose an engineering degree program and its various pedagogical uses? And number 3, what factor influence students' attitudes toward translanguaging?
Okay. We talk about we touched a little bit about EMI already, right? But this one focus on attitudes, okay? And attitudes here would be towards the translanguaging by instructors and translanguaging by students, okay? By students, because student can translanguage too. Teacher can also translanguage, right? When teacher explain things, they can use more than, they can use L1, L2, L3. Students also the same, right? And this is what they compare between Arabic L1 and non-Arabic L1. Okay, and then for number 2, they look at translanguaging, the use of translanguaging in different courses, okay, in different courses of engineering program. Okay, maybe lecture-based, right? Lecture-based course, or could be different, right? Lecture-based course or a lab course, right? That could be different, you know, if you use translanguaging. And then what factors, okay? In terms of quality control, QC, yes, QC ka. Ili.
Yeah, Professor. Quality control of qualitative research seek description. The richness of the description provided by a researcher involves not only describing but interpreting actions in their social context. Reliability. The researchers need to ensure that the process used for coding data is adequately explained so that the reader can see how categories were determined.
Yeah, think about that. Okay. One later, when you can go back to read your papers too and see how methodology the methodology is described, okay, in those papers. They will talk a lot. They will describe in details. Validity. Next one, please. Rosamond.
Yes, Professor. Quality control of QR, validity. Researchers need to be transparent about their data set and selection procedures, avoiding cherry-picking examples and quotations in order to disguise thin data and inadequate analysis.
In order to disguise, you know, the term cherry-picking, you can see, right? I think you can, this means that the researcher has bias. If qualitative research is very subjective, you know, but you have to prove that you're not subjective, that everything is objective, you know, as much as possible. Cherry picking means like, for example, think about the story about Natmi and Niti. Remember? Natmi and Niti. You have so many from the interview, right? You know that, you know, if you're not objective, you would think, this part of Natmi or this part of Niti is very, what is it? Like very interesting, fascinating, the way Niti wants to become a teacher. For example, if Niti says something like, I grew up in a family with you know, of teachers, my grandparent, my, you know, something like that, right? And you think, this part will make my story, my research more interesting, more attractive, you know, and you select things, okay, to present. But in narrative, yeah, it could be different. But I mean, if your data come from more than one person, because you have only Natmi and Niti, yes, you cannot avoid it, right? You cannot avoid. So maybe you have to choose that sentence anyway. But if you have like 10 participants and you want to select, you think that this pattern is interesting, but actually this pattern occur only among 20% of your subject, but you highlight it. But this is wrong, right? As a researcher, that means you cherry picking. 2 is not a lot, you know, it should be like the pattern found in maybe 70%, right? 7 out of 10. So that's the pattern that you should present in your paper. But you think, the 2 occurrences, you know, are more interesting. So I will present this one, you know, so that would affect your study, okay? So that's cherry picking. You can, yes, you hear about this already. Right, next please, Sumon.
Yes, Professor. Quality control of respondent validation. The researcher presenting relevant findings to participants and seeking their views on these. Triangulation. Use different types as well as methods of data collection. A feature that is apparent from field notes may be apparent in participant interviews and also in as parts of their talk.
Okay, triangulations, right? Yeah, you use different methods, right? Different research methods to get the data. Look at different ways of sampling, you know, different methods of sampling, right? You have heard of purposive sampling, quarter sampling, snowball sampling. First one, please. First one, Pathananka.
Purposive sampling. Group participants according to pre-selected criteria relevant to particular research questions. Sample size may or may not be fixed prior to data collections, depend on the resource and time available as well as the study objectives.
Okay. Right. Look at this one. This is also about purposive sampling on Sirika.
Yes, sir. Purposive sampling size are often determined on the basis of rhetorical citation. The point in data collection when new data no longer bring additional insight to the research questions. Most successful when data review and analyze are done in conjunction with data collection.
Mhm. Okay, going back to the previous slide, you remember from quantitative research, you have some kind of table, right? That the table will tell you like, oh, if the population is 1,000, what would be the right number for your subjects, right? You can use the table. But in qualitative research, there's nothing like that, okay? You have to think about your research objective, right? And you have the criteria. Sometimes the participants might have certain characteristics that you want to study, and there are not many of them. So you cannot say that, you want to collect 100, right? Because qualitative usually are limited to small number, right? A small number of subjects. Yeah. Like if you want to study bilingual kids, right? Growing up in a family of parents who speak different languages, you will find many of them, right? No, right? Right. So these are, the characteristic, right? You cannot set the sample size. Think back to the research about, remember, about local person, in tourism context in Bali. You still remember the tourists? How can you set the number? In that situation, you cannot say that I want to collect, because in that study, the researcher look at the language, okay, the language used by the local, like sailors, tour guide, right? Who else? Yeah, waiters working in a restaurant, right? But they are Indonesian. And you don't know. You want to make it, sometimes it's a mix. It's a mix of sampling. You would set probably like, okay, my subjects would come from, suppose that, okay, 10 sailors, 10 waiters, 10 tour guides, okay? You can do something like that. That's like quota sampling, right? Yeah. And when you look at the tourist side, you might want to set like 10 Anglophone countries, 10 tourists from Anglophone country, 10 tourists from Asian countries, but you have to have something in mind, okay? Why you want to divide them into Anglophone countries or why Asian countries, okay? So that quota sampling too. And then after that, you would have something like convenience sampling, right? Whenever today you would carry a tape recorder around, right? And who else you meet first, you would collect data from that person, okay? Sometimes it's like mix and match, okay? You have to be adaptive, but not like too flexible, right? When it comes to this one, I want to explain. Sometimes you're not sure about the sample size. The theoretical saturation is like, you have collected maybe, 50 tourists already. And you come back and you think that if you're going to collect more, like 100, you will not find anything new anymore. Okay, so this means like theoretically saturation, new data no longer available for you. No, because if you collect more, you would see something similar to what you have found, right? So what's the point of collecting 50 subjects more? That's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time. So this is, you know, that's why it said that most successful, it is most successful when data review and analysis are done. You know, like when you go back, you know, okay, today you have collected, so far you have collected 50 subjects already. And every day you go back and you analyze the data, you know, and now right now you think nothing new. You analyze, you review the data. Oh, I don't think I found something new. Everything's similar. This is the pattern that local people talk to tourists. So I will stop here. But you don't stop at 5, okay? You have to stop at the right number, all right? Not like, 5 people enough for me. I don't see anything new anymore. It's not like that. Okay, any questions? Okay, now look at quarter sampling. Quarter sampling. ใครเนาะกูลืมละออนสิริไปแล้วใช่ไหมหรือยัง
Yes, I'm the last one.
โอเคค่ะวันชนะค่ะ
Yes, Professor. Quota sampling, sometimes considered a type of purposive sampling. We decide while designing the study how many people with which characteristics to conclude as participants.
Okay, right. Yeah, next one too, Wanchana. Quarter sampling.
Yes, Professor. A quota sampling characteristics, age, place of residence, gender, class, profession, marital status, people whom we think would be most likely to experience, know about, or have insights into the research topic, go to the community, use recruitment strategies appropriate to the location, culture, and study population. Find people who fit these criteria until we meet the prescribed quota.
Right, quarter sampling. You can, you know, like, okay, 10 male, 10 males, 10 females, right? 10 from high school, 10 from junior high school, you know, 10 from primary school, something like that. That's the quarter sampling. Okay, now the next one. Snowball, snowball, on Siri.
Okay, yes, Professor. Snowball sampling, referral sampling. Number 2, a type of purposive sampling. Number 3, participant with whom contact has already been made. And 4, use their social networks to refer the researcher to other people who could potentially participate in or contribute to the study.
And one more about snowball.
Yes, sir, Professor. And the last point, okay, snowball sampling is often used to find and recruit hidden populations. For example, groups not easily accessible to researchers, through other sampling strategies. Yeah.
Right. Snowball, right? You will use snowball when, for example, if you want to study what? Study people who are, you can help me. I can think of only like, who are drug addict, you know, who are drug addict. This group are hidden group, right? Hidden population. You cannot find them easily because they will not tell you that they used to be drug addicts. So you need to have one subject refer to the next one, right? The one in the community, you know. I want to interview another drug addict. Do you know anyone?
Can I share?
Yes, please.
For the case of LGBTQ, they always, I mean, we cannot know that he or she.
If they still
tell us, right?
If they're still in the closet, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
cannot tell. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And now I have seen that there are some teaching trends that will concern about LGBTQ.
Mm.
Like doing a research for a Q or the tomboy like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's not, it means it's always see in the overseas, right? But in Thailand, I think it's not often to found. Yes, to be found. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure about in teaching, in language teaching. Yeah, in language teaching.
Yeah.
Cannot think.
Please give me one example.
Yeah,
okay. About the LGBTQ, right? What types of the ELT that will relate them? Right? Please, Kajan.
Yeah, what could it be? Can it be something about, language and gender? Because if you want to study, right, language used by LGBTQ, that could be possible too, right? For example, I don't know, something like, okay, this might be biased, okay? But sometimes we think that which group, the queer one, I think, right? The Q group นี่คือพวกที่เขาเป็นหญิงใช่ปะ
ใช่ค่ะ queer.
Queer. Sometimes, okay, this could be not politically correct, okay? Like we think that the queer group like to say something bad, use bad words, right? ด่าเก่ง or เสียดสี satirical or cynical, right? You don't want to argue with the Q group, right? Because they can say something back to you. And I'm not sure you agree with me, something like that. You have that kind of feeling? That group? The queer group. Rosamond เข้าใจไหมเหมือนขมวดคิ้ว Do you know what I mean?
I don't know the queer. Could you explain? Yeah.
ผู้ชายที่เขาเป็นกระเทยอ่ะที่เขาเป็นผู้หญิงอ่ะ
like lady boy.
Not lady boy. Yeah, lady boy ใช่ไหม Okay. Yeah. Like people in the Tiffany world.
Okay.
Right? So we most people think that theyอย่าไปด่าเขาอ่ะ Is that true or I'm not sure, but I try to think of the reason too. So if you interview them, you might get, and they trust you, right? People in this group might refer you to another subject, right? And you interview them. Why you have to,ปักจับ why you have to something like that, right? You have to say something, talk back to people harshly, because maybe it's something they might give you a reason, like they want to protect themselves, because in the society people sometimes treat them with, like they look down on them, right? So they want to protect themselves by doing this, something like that, right? So that could be the reason, so this is the point about, but I'm not sure if it's about ELT. Yeah.
I think it can be like socio-linguistics, because it's about right. like a norm, like transgender, like a culture, like that.
Maybe one thing is about ELT is you think that in general, males or females are good at studying English. Vanchana, you are the only male here. males and females, you know, in general, who are better at learning English?
I think female professor.
Right? You know, I'm not sure if this is about the gender stereotype or because of the characteristic, but think about males who are successful. In your class, you've got any lady boy in your class? You've got any students like that? And are they better in English than the regular boys?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, they seem, why? Why? They seem to be more successful than the regular male students.
I think they like feel confident to speak English, yes, and to express their feeling. Yes.
And
Yeah,
they seem to, and sometimes people say that you will speak English more successfully, right? If you pretend better.
Yes.
Right? If you pretend, right? You know, like snowball sampling is often used, right? If you know how to say something like that instead of snowball sampling is often used, right? This would be like a regular, you know, students, right? They would say something like that. Read like monotone, right? But male students, yeah, lady boy student might like pretend, not pretend, but they play, right? They play with the language better. So, you know, this is something, yeah, maybe it's about ELT. Okay. Right. For the last presentation, I'll stop sharing now. We come back to this later. Okay. Yes. Will we do it? Sumon or Yili?
Yeah, Professor.
Can you share the screen?
Yeah. Sorry.
Let me share.
Yeah. I can't share. And the topic of the research is on the development of content and language integrated learning textbook evaluation checklist, a focus group study. And for the first part, it is just an abstract of the dissertation of the, and yeah, about the aspects. And in the abstract, first, despite a prolific research on the textbook evaluation and CLIT textbook evaluation is still a field to be developed. And the research just provides educators with a checklist to analyze and evaluate CLLL textbooks. And the final version of the tool was created incorporating the input provided by a focus group of CLIL teachers. And the last one, further research is to test the checklist for its validity and reliability. The second part is about the rationale of the research. First, it's just to find the most suitable textbook for a specific educational context. And textbook evaluation, we can see that can help not only teacher but also curriculum designer and material developers to identify and reflect upon the core features of textbooks. And the last one, in the field of ESL and EFL, and in order to facilitate and the process of choosing and analyzing textbooks, numerous researchers have turned textbook evaluation into a relevant area. That's about the rationale of the research. And the next one is about the definition of content and language integrate learning. And content and language integrated learning refers to any dual-focused educational context in which an additional language, thus not usually the first language of the learners involved, is used as a medium in the teaching and learning of non-language content. It is dual-focused because various attention may be predominantly on either subject-specific content or language, and both are always accommodated. And so, in this study, a focus group of experienced CLIL primary teachers provide their insights on the features that any CLIL textbook should present based on their training on CLIL and on their teaching experiences. That's about the definition of CLIL. And next part is about a review of related literature. And they also just divided the related literature into two categories. And the first category about the positive aspects of the use of textbooks and their impact on language learning. And from three aspects, the first, number one, the reasons in favor of using textbooks are varied, from attractive layout and design to other utilitarian attributes such as cost effectiveness or reliability. And the second positive aspects of use the textbook, it is just the useful support offered to teachers and learners alike. And the last aspect of positive, just the safety felt by the students when using them, which are the most common when considering textbooks as a valuable learning tool. And the negative aspects of the use of textbook and their influence on language learning. Textbooks as a tyrant and the teacher as a slave is one of the main criticism from those contrary to its use in the classroom, together with the fact that a textbook cannot cater for all needs in any educational setting. So it seems that even though active methodologies are gaining ground in the field of learning languages, reconsidering the role of all the stakeholders involved in teaching, the textbook still lies at the core of the teaching learning process. That's all about the review of related literature. And the next one is about content and language integrated learning textbooks. First, we can see that with the advent of numerous plurilingual schools in Europe, the demand for content books written in additional language has increased dramatically. Second, initially, some of the CLIL textbooks were translated from their language 1 versions, which offers advantages for CLIT learners and mainly regarding linguistic difficulties or appropriate methodologies. Number 3, even though the availability of textbooks is one of the main concerns for CLIL teachers, the linguistic difficulty of the text is also paramount, since the foreign language and the main vehicular language in the class must be integrated simultaneously with the content. And the last one is textbook is the use that teachers make of them, and it also depending mainly on the teacher's teaching style and their experience. And the last part is the last part of my presentation just about the use of checklists to evaluate textbooks. And the author just talk about the textbook evaluation, and the textbook evaluation can be divided into three stages. The first one is pre-use, and in-use, and post-use. And the pre-use involves selecting the most appropriate textbook for a specific group of learners. And in-use involves identifying the strengths and weakness of the book so that the teacher can adapt certain sections and use different materials to make up for those weaknesses. In the post-use stage, teachers reflect upon the textbook's suitability that has been used in a specific situation or for the study of a subject. And the last part is about the use of checklists to evaluate textbooks. And
yes, let me continue the second part, which is methodology, method. Oh. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I will continue the second part. Hello? Hello?
Yes, it's clearly both your voice and your presentation.
Yes, it is the second part of a three-stage project. Its objective is to refine the tentative checklist created in the previous part of the study. In the first part of the study, a thorough revision of the existing instruments to evaluate ELT textbooks was carried out, and a tentative checklist was drawn up considering two features: checklists previously created to evaluate ELT textbooks, and criteria for producing quality CLIL learning materials drawn up by Mahisto in 2012. Now, what I'm going to present is tentative checklist. It includes a list of items considering general criteria, linguistic criteria, the forces of CLIL, and a final criterion related to the consistencies of the textbooks to the principles of CLIL. And the final list comprised 54 criteria. So in this study, so marking the presence or absence of each criterion would be enough to have an approximate impression of the main features of the book. In this research, a focus group was given the from the teachers in order to discuss and in the corresponding categories and to consider the potential addition of items not included in the first version of the list. The authors suggested that they point out that it is necessary to increase validity by checking that criteria are representative enough for each session of the checklists. And it is also necessary to improve reliability by simplifying statements for those users with less expertise. Regarding practicality, the final number of the criteria should be manageable. In the analysis of textbooks evaluation checklist, numbers of words of the new checklist can be considered moderate, and the number of words ranged between 113 and 4,553. Included 5 CLIL teachers of primary education. So they are aged from 25 to 30 with previous experience teaching in bilingual programs in different schools in Spain. They all had experience in selecting CLIL textbooks and EFL textbooks for their students, but had never used checklists in order to select or evaluate their coursebooks. All the participants had the same training, such as degree in teaching primary education and recently finished master degrees in bilingual education, where they had taken 2 compulsory subjects on CLIL. The participation in the focus group was proposed to the former students of the master's degree above mentioned, and it was voluntary. The informed consent was obtained from all participants. In this research, they made discussions for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it took place online via a free web-based group video conference. The administrator take notes on the suggestions and recommendations provided by the group. And the video conference was also recorded. So following Magadan Namsilison and Haji Mohammadi 2011. So the discussion was divided into 2 sessions, and structured interview and structured interview. In the unstructured interview, participants brainstormed their ideas on the general features they considered important in an effective CLIL textbooks. In the structured interview, they were provided with the tentative checklist created for the first stage of the study and commented on the clarity of the items, the relevance of the criteria, and the categories the criteria had been included in. So these now let me present and structure interview results. The new items are listed in this session discussed individually and included in the new checklist. The information on the location in the new checklist is provided in bracelets. It provides support for the parents helping with homework. It offers online activities to promote autonomous learning. The teacher guide provides extra activities for extension. The teacher guide provides extra activities for reinforcement. So regarding the first 2 items, the focus group indicated that support for the students' families is essential in CLIL context. The 3rd and 4th items refer to the teacher guide. Now, let me move on to the next one, which is structured interview results. So in the second part of the discussion, the focus group was provided with the above mentioned tentative checklist for CLIL textbooks evaluation. Its purpose was to adjust and modify the list according to the teacher's needs. The categories of the checklist and all the items were discussed in order to analyze if they needed rewriting, margin, or elimination. So at the end of the discussion, participants were invited to suggest new items to be added. As a result of this phase, 6 items from the previous list were revised, 2 were deleted, and 3 were added. Now, let me present results and discussion. As a result of the suggestions provided by the focus group, and after analyzing their recommendations, the new checklist was created. It's made up of 60 items grouped under 6 headings, increasing the number of items from the tentative checklist 54 and reducing the categories 7. The number of items is within the range of checklists from the field. According to the researchers Wannaruk, they observed that in the 70 checklists of English language textbooks they have reviewed, the number of criteria ranged from 42 to 180. The user's rating can be indicated on the right column. So they use a Likert scale from 0 to 4 to indicate satisfaction, such as excellent, 4 excellent, 3 good, or 2 adequate, 1 weak, and 0 totally lacking. After the discussion of the focus group, the most significant changes to the list took place in the sessions of supplementary materials, content, and language. This might be due to the lack of materials in CLIL and the dual nature of the approach. As for the number of words, the new list has 502 words instead of 480. Despite the 6 new items added to the list, the increase of only 22 words showed an effort to simplify syntax and reward items. Finally, the final group, the focus group didn't find any category which could be inapplicable to CLIL context. Consequently, none was dropped out. To conclude, the objective of this phase of the study was analyzing a tentative evaluation checklist for CLIL texts in order to agree of items and to discuss their inclusiveness. Conclusions obtained after the focus group's analysis revealed the need for a new checklist that fitted CLIL teachers' needs better, but without showing significant differences from the one proposed. The version can be considered as finite, since the future third phase of the study will not alter the number of current items or modify their content. Instead, it will be focused on the areas of validity and reliability in relation to each individual criterion from the checklist. Among the limitations of the study, so we can point out, they point out that the composition of the focus group, so made up completely of primary teachers. They believe that even if some criteria might change depending on the specific context, CLIL context in primary and secondary education share a significant number of factors, and most of the evaluative criteria included in the checklist are valid for most CLIL contexts. Therefore, in the next phase of the study, both educational levels will be considered. As for the suggestions, though, provided to modify the tentative list, they observe a significant emphasis on the technical criteria and on the rest, with frequent references from the focus group to the typeface or too colorful illustrations. In this respect, since the use of checklists allows teachers to add extra criteria to the list in order to tailor them to their needs, the physical layout might have to be considered as a relevant feature for CLIL teachers. The updated version provided in the appendix can be useful for those teachers and materials developers working with CLIL textbooks, even though the full testing for reliability and validity has not been carried out at this stage. The checklist can be used as a reflection tool to help novice teachers in the area or to those experienced teachers whose previous experience with textbooks has not been successful. Its main significance is covering the gap in textbooks evaluation, mainly in bilingual contexts where the CLIL approach is used. So thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Sumon and Yili. Okay, right. So for the last presentation, you have a chance to read something about textbook evaluation, right? And I think as a teacher, most of the time, sometimes you buy commercial text, right? And this could be helpful for you if you're going to if you are assigned to select any course book, for teaching. And also focus group, right? You're exposed to the way that the researcher adopt focus group interview, right? Focus group, yeah, to get feedback from the teachers, okay? Yes. Any question about the last paper? I think, okay, everything's clear. We would come to the last session, right? The last part for today. I'll try to finish everything. So, yes, we have, from the 4 presentation, right? So far, we have learned about in-depth focus group. There are several ways, right? And also observation. Yeah, I mentioned a little bit in the research about tourists, right, in Bali. So that's some kind of observation. But you cannot just observe. You have to develop a checklist, right? So that when you observe something, you can take note, you can check what you find, right? Yeah, something like that when you observe. Okay, in depth, right? Just some rough idea. พัฒนนท์หรือยังคะพัฒนนท์ไหมเมื่อกี้ออนสิริป่ะคะเดี๋ยวเราใช่ไหมที่ครูให้อ่านทีละสองสไลด์อ่ะ Is it on Siri? The last
Yes, I think.
Okay, right. พัฒนนท์ค่ะ maybe now 2 slides too.
Yes, Professor. Okay. In the interview, conversations on a certain topic between an interviewer and a respondent is to obtain detailed insight and personal thoughts, flexible and unstructured, but with an interview guide, relaxed and open environment.
And one more.
Question determined by flow of conversation, interview transcript, analyzed for themes and connections between themes. Disadvantage, expensive, small samples, and subjective, and more information from each respondent.
Right. Sometimes it could be subjective, right? That's the in-depth information interview. Okay. Next one, focus group. Right. Sumon, you still tired from the presentation? Okay, I'll ask you to read the 2. Yes. Focus group ka.
Yes. A loosely structured interview conducted by a small number of informants simultaneously. 8 to 12 members are homogeneous in terms of demographics and socioeconomic factors, heterogeneous views.
And one more, this one.
Experience related to issue being discussed. Clients may sit behind. Qualified moderator. Conversation may be video and or audio taped. Notes may be taken.
Right. Okay. For focus group, right, like this, sometimes this is the situation about company, right? Private sectors, if they want to get customer feedback, for example, right, they would perform focus group like this, and they are experienced one, okay? And the group can be, the subject can be grouped according to their demographic data or their socio-economic. For example, when we, if we apply this to ELT, that's mean, we can group them according to their level of proficiency, their like similarity in terms of performance, right? Something like that, so that we can get focus group, or according to their gender, male. This focus group is only males, for males, and this another one is for females only. Okay. Right. What about online focus group? Online focus group might not be, this is the weakness. Right now, I think with the, you know, invention of Zoom, right? We think, I want to interview them, you know, using Zoom. But if you're going to do this, like especially online focus group, you know, via Zoom, you cannot see their verbal behavior. I mean, their facial expression is not clear, right? Their gesture or something. So you need to be aware of the limitations too, okay? If it's going to be online, right? And something to be aware of. What else? Yes, Yili. Oh, sorry, Rosamund.
Okay, Professor. Awareness. Focus groups are small numbers, not random, not statistically valid, subject to interpretation. Focus groups are a lot of work. We can get insights from focus groups that can't get in other ways. Beware of power relations, stimulating effects from group interaction.
Right. The last one about power relation, probably like someone who dominate, right? Dominate the interaction, right? The talkative one, you know, influence the others. So this might give you biased data. Okay. Something that we have to be careful. Okay, I would go to Yili. This one, the ethics things. Yes, please read this one.
Yeah, qualitative research ethics. Identities of subjects should be protected. No harmful effects. Subjects treated with respect. Informed consent is one of the most important tools for ensuring respect for person during research.
Right. Have you guys ever done this before? Maybe when you research, you have asked for, maybe you have got consent form, right? Informed consent. Yes, Anchalee.
Yes, I used to do once.
Okay. And you ask them to sign, right?
Yes.
What kind of methodology you use?
Like area based, right? I try to do like focus group. Yeah.
Okay, you do focus group interview?
Yes, and then interviews.
Oh, okay. And you have them sign the consent form.
Yes,
Shad, you turn on the microphone, right? Or not?
Yes, is it a project? It was a project that I did with colleagues in other university, and we collect information from students who were liaison officers to the international students, and then we interview individually. It's an individual interview, so they need to sign consent form that they are willing to be interviewed for it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But right now the process is more than just consent form. Hold on a second, okay? Someone ring the bell. Okay, Kat, sorry. Yes, these days, you know, inform. You have, like I said, you have to submit documents too, right? Submit documents to request for the license number, okay? And people, after they look at your proposal, they will look at everything. They look at the proposal, they look at the your research tools. They will read everything. And maybe at least 2 people, right? At least 2 committee members will read this. And after they read it, because our research is not harmful, unlike medical research, you know, we do not suck blood or have them treated with something, you know, so they will give us license, okay? And maybe something like this, you need to be careful. In our field, it's not serious yet, you know, in social science and humanities. When you publish, they don't ask you for the license yet, but we don't know when they're going to, like, if you're going to publish, and they will ask you for the license, you know, number. So just notice that, okay, when you read articles, see if the article you read, you know, they would provide information like, oh, this study has been applied for the IUB, you know, for the research, human research ethics. Okay? Right. Okay. This is another study similar to that, similar to HUSOC, right? This one is about similar thing, okay, intercultural citizenship, but they focus on Thai student only, okay, Thai student only. Remember that one who presenting it on Siri, right?
Yes, Ansari
and PS chat, no? It's about Thai versus Chinese, right?
Yes.
But
True.
this one is Thai student only. Thai student who study abroad, you know, see how their intercultural citizenship is developed. Okay. We look at this one. Yes, what's the aim? The aim ค่ะเมื่อกี้รสมนต์อ่านไปอันเดียวรสมนต์อ่านอันนี้สิ aim.
Okay. Aims to describe how Thai SA students developed a sense of intercultural citizenship during SA experiences with international HE programs in Anglophone countries, and to identify roles of ELT in facilitating the preparation for the subsequent SA programs.
Right. SA is study abroad, okay? SA is study abroad. And from these two aims, you know, they would develop research question, right? And this is the research question. Okay, ค่ะ Yili ใช่ไหม Yili ยังไม่ได้อ่านเนาะ Okay ค่ะ Yili, can you read this one?
Yeah. Research questions. Number 1, to what extent?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Please continue. Sorry.
To what extent do Thai SA students feel their experiences in English language learning prepare them for the intercultural dimensions of studying abroad, including intercultural citizenship? Number 2, in what way do Thai SA students' awareness of intercultural communication and in intercultural citizenship increase after studying abroad?
Number 1 here, number 1, right? This is before they go abroad, right? This one, before they go abroad. And this number 2 is like, after they come back, right? They ask if the life, you know, whatever they learn in Anglophone countries, develop their awareness, right? Their intercultural citizenship. Usually in the past, when I see the question like, to what extent, I tend to think that this is more like quantitative research. But with this one, you know, I see that, oh, they use the question like, to what extent, with qualitative too, okay? So maybe it's it become new normal, maybe, something like that, you know? Yeah, because this research is qualitative too. But I'm not sure if it's purely qualitative, because, okay, we look at this later. This one, yeah, right. Maybe this is it. Parishat, can you read this one about research tools?
Research tools, therefore, a mixed method approach involving a questionnaire and interview was initially adopted. See Bakers and Fang 2021, Bunsuk and Fang 2021. However, to facilitate an in-depth discussion of the data and findings, this paper focuses on the qualitative data from the interviews.
So I think going back to the research question here, yeah, maybe research question one here still focus on the quantitative part, because it also said that it's a mixed method, right? But this one is the qualitative one. Okay, is the qualitative part. Yeah. Research sites here, the location of the research. It's done at 3 universities, something like this. In qualitative research, you have to explain well. Okay. The data were collected at 3 universities. 3 universities, one large regional government university, and then a prestigious metropolitan government university. So this one is large regional, could be considered like Songkhla, right? Prince of Songkhla, because it's regional, or Chiang Mai, you know, and metropolitan government university. This could be like Gazette, you know, like Thammasat, right? That's metropolitan government. And a private one, a private metropolitan could be like Bangkok University, Rangsit University, you know, right? We consider Rangsit metropolitan now, right? It's metropolitan, yeah. And participants, convenience sampling, okay? These 14 have studied in America or in the UK and returned to Thailand already. So they use interview. Okay, the subjects were interviewed, and the data collection. Yeah, they provide methodology in details. That's why I want to focus on these more than the findings, because I'd like you to see the picture of method, you know, in qualitative research, clear, you know. Yes, right. Going back to Vanchana, data collection.
Yes, Professor, thank you. Data collection. At the first stage, individuals matching criteria were personally contacted via telephone and email and asked if they were available and would like to volunteer to participate in the research project through the interviews. After participants agree, informed consent was gained to audio record with the interviews, and they were also informed that their participation was confidential and they could withdraw from the study at any time.
Right. This is the part, okay. You have to let the subjects know, okay. Everything's confidential and they could withdraw from the study at any time. Okay. That's what you have to say in the consent form. What's next? Yes. On Sirika.
Yes, sir. Continue, right? Data collection. The interviews were conducted in Thai at true other setting, as this was the L1 of the researchers and participants. Number 2, these were transcribed in Thai and then translated into English. And the last one, the last point, in the third setting, interviews were conducted in English in the shared lingua franca of the researchers and participants. The interviews last approximately 30 to 45 minutes.
Right. It was done because these are Thai subjects, right? So originally, the interview were conducted in Thai, right? And then they transcribed this into English. Have you heard of back translation? Back translation, you know, when you transfer something from one language to another, you're supposed to translate back, sorry. When you translate something, right, like Thai to English, And then you have someone translate from the English back to Thai to make sure that the translation is correct. Okay. Okay, you got it, right? Yeah, something like that. Okay, because if only one way translation, sometimes it cannot guarantee, okay, that your translation is complete, cover everything.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I compare that is a term of interpretation.
Yeah, that could be similar, right? Interpretation. When if you work as an interpreter, right? But if it's real time interpreter, you don't have time to translate again, right? You don't have time to do the back, translation again, right? Yeah. But this is something like if you for something like transcript, I think you can do that, right? You translate something and you translate back again. But this time they have to, the interview was also done in English because, were conducted in English because you remember this study, the coordinator of this one is Will Baker. Will Baker, he's the advisor of this group of researchers. Yusuf, Jayon Jain, Titima, Navaporn, So Will Baker is like coordinator. So he needs to understand everything, right? So the last time it would be the last interview. Which one? Right. In the third setting, interview were conducted in English because there is the shared lingua franca between the researcher and the participants. I think the researcher here is Baker, and the participants, are all the Thai subjects, right? Next one, data analysis. Data analysis. Who's the next one? Who's the last one reading about something interview?
Answering.
Okay.
And the last one.
This one, data analysis, please. Patanan.
Yes, Professor. Data analysis. The individual researchers at each setting carry out the first round of analysis based on the related to the initial research questions and also added any emergent codes. Data set were then combined by the coordinating researcher based at and Agrophone University and reanalyzed to ensure consistency of coding and identify core themes and will enhance dependability.
Okay. You remember when you analyze data, go back to the paper by Denchai Prapchandi, right? That I showed you the 3 columns, right? There's some coding categories, and then the right column about the categorization, right? Something like that. Yeah, I can send you that paper later. So that one is how they code. Then it would be like initial, right? That called first round is called first round of analysis. And then emergent codes, something that emerged along the way. You might have some kind of, you can have framework for the analysis, or for initial coding. But if anything that just occur in your study, you call it emergent codes, okay? You might find something new along the way, right? So that would be emergent, okay? And then you do the themes, something like that. Okay, so this would be like, you need to check the data to make sure that everything is reliable, an agreement. Sometimes, you can also, once you interpret interpretation is very important in qualitative research. Once your study is almost finished, you can also ask the subject, okay? Ask your subject if your interpretation is correct or not, right? Because sometimes from the data, you might find something, okay, you think that this is true. You know, you think that, for example, Thai students studying abroad would, you know, behave like this, right? Based on your script, based on your data. And then you can check with your subjects. My interpretation is correct. This is what happened. You know, if they say that, it is unlikely. That means your interpretation is wrong, right? So this is one part that is important, okay? You can check with the subjects too. All right, okay. In qualitative research, you heard about trustworthiness. Yes, okay, ka. Kaina. Sumon, right? Sumon, can you read this one?
Yes, Professor. Trustworthiness, credibility by gaining insider perspectives through the rule of the research as teaching each of their settings investigated, balanced by outsider perspectives from the overall coordinator. Due to the qualitative nature of the study and the small number of participants, generalization cannot be made. But often in nature, it's hoped that the findings will be transferable to other similar contexts.
Okay, right. For this study, it said that credibility, you know, there are two kinds. Insider perspective, okay? These are the Thai researchers, right, in that group, okay? And balanced by outsider perspective from the overall coordinator. This is Professor Baker, right? So it's balanced, you know, this is how they want to show that, oh, our data here, our interpretation here is clean, the interpretation is correct, something like that. This is the part, you know, you remember, this is the weakness of qualitative research, right? Generalization cannot be made because usually it's a small group of subjects, but you should say something like this. By offering in-depth data, it is hoped that finding will be transferable to other similar contexts, okay? So you research, you know, in this field, yeah, they usually say that. And this is the part that I told you. You would say that in-depth qualitative data, including insightful and articulate extract from the participants' interview, help to confirm confirmation. See, this is about the subject. You remember about Niti and Chandi, right? You know, not Chandi, Niti and not me, right? Not me. Yes, you provide the extract, right, to confirm your interpretation, okay? That's what it said. Okay, the findings here is not important. It's not our focus. Yes, but it said that, let someone ask, someone read it. Rosamondค่ะ Rosamond เป็นคนอ่านคนสุดท้ายของคุณละ I'm done ใช่ไหม
Certainly, Professor. Findings from qualitative content analysis, a range of understandings and responses to intercultural citizenship, English learning, language utilization, and the essay experiences. And a mismatch was identified between ELT preparation and support efforts compared to the multilingual and multicultural reality of international HE.
Yeah. So for the first one, yes, we found a lot of things from the content analysis, right? But there's a mismatch between ELT preparation and support. You think because you guys also higher education sectors, do you compare before you send someone to study abroad, you prepare them in terms of cultural knowledge, intercultural citizenship? You do something like that? Rosamond, you raise you not. So Buriram do that. Buriram Rajabhat does that.
Yeah, in case of language and cultural exchange, we have to prepare students first. We have otherwise they will get a culture shock. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. What about at Rajabhat Korat? Huh? Do you have anything similar to you before you send a student abroad? Maybe, hopefully. At Ubon Lang. What about at Ubon?
Professor, I'm not sure about this because the student that go abroad might be the curriculum, the program in charge of this case. But I think if ask me, it should be done like that to prepare the student. Professor. I mean Chinese program, right away they do some contact to university in China that let some students to study there a year or a month. Like that.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's good. Right, for the last slide, okay. This one is about, you can watch more from YouTube. They show how to analyze something, okay, analyze the data with theme analysis, content analysis, something like that, okay. And there's a program actually. Sometimes people say that you can just do like by using Word, program, right? To when you quote the data, and you highlight something, right? But there's a program too that can help you. You can watch this program, the YouTube video in vivo, okay? In vivo for beginners quoting, if your data, you have a lot of data, it might help you. They will give you different colors for different quotes, okay? And then they will count the frequency of each quotes later, okay? Count for you, they will count them for you. Right, I sent everyone already, so please don't forget to share before we leave. Can you share via Zoom for your presentation?
Yes.
Yes, can you do it now, please? Yeah. The other two already on Siri and Rosamond did already. What about the last two groups? Can you share them now? You know how to share? You can send the file. Okay, Cleo already. Cleo ka. Okay. Yes. Cleo. And the other one, Cleo, and who's the third one? Patanan ใช่ไหมคะ and Wanchana. ส่งมายังคะ
Try to sending, Professor. Just a second.
Right. Okay, ka. Any questions, ka, for today's presentation? Clear or hungry or tired?
So clear ค่ะอาจารย์ Thank you very much ค่ะ
Okay, hopefully. Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, ka. Hope you will be happy with the paper, right? Your thesis in the future, right? Enjoy conducting your research. Okay. วันชนะส่งมาแล้ว Okay. Right. Okay ค่ะ ขอถ่ายรูป1 รูปเนาะ Everything's not too tired, right?
Sorry, Hajan, I cannot turn on the video.
Oh, okay. Right. Yes.
Professor, do you want us to help in this case to do a screenshot
Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay.
Okay, I will help.
Mm.
So, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. One.
Okay, mini heart for you guys.
Sorry, I can't. I have to press the two buttons, Professor. Sorry.
You have to learn how to use left hand later. Okay, once and
Yeah, once again. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you ปิยชัดทีหลังต้องโพสต์เป็นรูปชู you know มินิฮาร์ทนะ จะได้เหมือนกับ
เตรียมไว้หรือเปล่า
จะได้เหมือนกับอยู่จริงๆ โอเคค่ะ thank you everyone good luck okay right and take care have a nice
Thank you,
weekend.
Professor.
Thank you
Okay,
very much,
ค่ะ,
Professor.
bye okay say hello to me if we run into each other sometime later okay
Okay.
bye
See you, Javier, in Quran.